Let's see. It is starting. Hello, everybody. This is still, yeah, Facebook, not the Rumble, but welcome to Live at 5. Until I sort that out, it seems like you've got to buy this, buy that. It's not as easy as clicking on live. And the choices out there to do lives, well, it seems so far that it's package oriented, but even YouTube is good for doing lives. But then again, when you're in the doghouse, then it's not so easy to thing. I think I think it's up this week, maybe tomorrow. My 7 days, but here I am. Not Rumble yet. Got to figure it out. And after you start clicking on buttons, then you figure out that you don't have this, don't have that. I just was on SurveyMonkey, same thing as well. It's all about the upgrades in some ways. If you want to be able to do this, put your logo on, fancy background, all of those kind of things. But I don't want to get too much into the details of so many different areas and arenas. But let's get to Live at 5. I've got a number of things to talk about today, probably some unexpected, of course. So right now we'll go into the something completely new. Which is just a way of talking about something and all the different things. So I'll just get to it. Sourdough culture. Sourdough culture, it's like, again, anything that you wish to do in life. It is one thing to read about it. It is one thing to hear about it. You can intellectualize about things, but it is a whole different story when you go to do it. And you can read and read and read to your heart's content, but it doesn't change that once you go do it, it's a learning experience in and of itself. So I really speak like this because, yeah, I did try it several months ago, and recently I gave some culture to my sister and my cousin. And with more time for my cousin, she's been playing around with it, and it's been a journey and a half. And I want to liken that to a number of other things too that exist in our world, where if we just intellectualize it, if we just read about it, it's not the same as doing it. When it comes to the kitchen, that's the same, whether you try to make shortbread and dough or bread or anything. But sourdough culture is a little unique in the sense that there's these number of different steps, and temperature matters. Now, we're not talking about in the oven temperature, we're just talking about feeding the culture, and we're talking about the bread rising and so forth. So that experience is there. Now, the one thing I wanted to also bring up today is a new toy, but I'm going to bring it out next week. It is a very, very simple thing that you can use to do handstand, well, I guess handstands, headstands, and things like that. But it's called Feet Up, if you've heard about it. Anyway, I used to do them as a kid a lot against the wall, walkovers and all that kind of stuff, and I found it very practical and easy to do, and I'm sure it's really simple to, it does look very simple to make. But I've been practicing, but I'll more about that next week. Let's get into, I really want to dive into a number of the things that have unfolded over the next week. Now, some of what I'm not going to speak about is what most of you are probably tuned into. Yes, what Canada's going through, what Trudeau says in the Parliament, and what's unfolded in the Ottawa area, of course, all this stuff. And what came to me was, in talking to my walk club on Sunday, a few of the members asked them the same question individually, and so I did a survey. I'm really, really excited actually about doing this survey because I think it's going to bring what I see is happening, and I'm going to go in here. I want to read some things off to you, and this is the division part. I really want to focus on division for this part of Live at 5. I decided to, I don't know how I stumbled upon it, but I decided to go in, and I was doing some searching for some keywords, particularly this one is Facebook, and I came up with a group called Vaccine Saves Lives. Now, Interestingly enough, there's a lot here, but I want to read some things here. And this actually came up to the survey that I'm doing. This is why I'm doing the survey. And I just want to close these messages down here. I'm going to read you something. I'm not going to read you names. I know I said the name of the group, but this is somebody speaking up in here saying, I am scared to death of the no, I may lose my job because because of this, I am not a anti this, just have anxiety issues. So people talk it and pipe in, this is most important. So this is a statement that she's scared to death of the shot, and that she may lose her job because of this. And this is due to anxiety and worry. So what is she worried about? We're not quite sure. She doesn't pipe in here at all, but what happens here is people are piping in, and I just want to go through what they're saying, again, without names. So your post from 3 days ago has numerous comments answering why. So your post from 3 days has numerous comments answering why you have no reason to be scared of this. Please refer to that. You say you have anxiety, yet you are fear-mongering yourself. Now again, in this particular post where she doesn't come in and pipe in, maybe this person is just trying to raise stuff up here. I don't know, but it's in here. Another person says, how can you be afraid of the? How many people do you know who have done this? Died? Were they as sick as those who contracted the CV after this? And so there's obviously people are getting information from different sources and not looking at all the information. And then another person pipes in, ask your doctor for something to ease your anxiety prior to getting this. I've known a lot of people who are terrified of needles, but were able to tolerate with a single dose of Xanax or Antivat in about 30 minutes prior to the shot. So there you go. People know that there are these tricks that you can do. Another person pipes in, and then I went and researched this. So that's why I'm kind of reading this thread here, because it has something here. What you need to realize is that by, in capital, not getting this, you are actually choosing a much greater risk. Now she goes on to say it, and I looked this up, so I want to make sure I capture again what is driving people to do and not do. There's as much as a 78% chance of heart damage if you catch the COVID-19 disease. Now, really the 78% chance when I went to look at it was about, I think it came out last April 2020. So there's some links I have that I looked at here. So this is something coming out today, but this is a particular step before they knew that this, as the risk was myocarditis and perioditis. No, that's not what I was thinking of, but myocarditis, we'll just stick with that. But that's before that. So compared to the chances of a serious problem from this, which is approximately 0.00005%. Again, this is all based on older information, and that can be something that happens no matter what side you take. It could be very old information, and things have to be taken into consideration. So capitalize that is the choice you are making. Every day you go uninjected, you choose that 78% risk over the 0.0005 risk. And for the record, and that's a 1.5 million times greater chance of something bad happening from a COVID injection versus the infection. So not getting vaccines, like standing still in a burning building and being afraid to run outside because you Because if you go outside, you might get struck by lightning. Meanwhile, every second you spend in that burning building increases your risk of death by smoke inhalation, severe burns, or collapsing rubble falling on your head. And that was the end of that. There's a lot more interesting things in here, but definitely vaccine saves lives. In a lot of ways, they are, again, they're bringing out information about various things. So we are seeing lots of previously hesitant people advocating for the injections now. I don't know any. I know more going the other way. It is just common sense, really. That's something I would say, knowing what I know about the other side. But I think these stories can help others to understand that much of what they fear is misinformation. Again, you're kind of like saying the same thing on both sides, but you're looking at different information and or believing different people. And again, this is, something Bishops, Stort, oh, I can't even think, Ford Independent, or Storfort Independent, Bishop Storfort Independent. It's in UK. So we were worried, and now we are glad we got the injection, I'll call it. So lots of different things. They're constantly putting out things that, again, more data, more information that they're picking up from various sources, and it'd be no different no matter what size you are. So preaching to the choir here, but more data to talk to others about, and of course getting this. So it's very interesting. And it says here in nature.com, mRNA vaccine-induced antibodies are more effective than natural immunity in neutralizing SARS-CoV-2 and its high thing scenario. But again, interestingly enough, Facebook says here, even for these posts being Vaccine Saves Lives, it says visit COVID-19 Information Center for vaccine resources. It says exactly the same thing. And it says that on every single one that I've seen here. But they go on, 6 African countries to kick off mRNA injection production. So these are countries in Africa. Of course, some people have the worry that these particular plants aren't up to speed with safety. I have heard that when you get more people, because of the money factor that comes into play. People who are able to produce anything, medical, can probably jump in here. So then it goes into some of the things that are going in here. In some states in the U.S., children can make their own decisions, and in UK, 16 years and older make their own medical choices. And here's a particular article that, if they demonstrate... Yeah, so listen, if kids demonstrate they're capable to do so, they can usually do it from age 12 and up. So here is a 16-year-old wanted to get the injection, and he had to hide it from his parents. It probably goes to say on both sides that may be happening. So interestingly enough, if you think the virus, I'll say, isn't dangerous, then read this article. A huge study of nearly 12 million people showed that COVID-19 infection greatly increases the risk for over 20 different cardiovascular diseases. So it's very interesting to dive down into some of these reports. Some of these, again, are very old, and they don't have everything in there. But I don't even know how old this group is. But one of the things, again, what I thought about in diving in here was to understand the fears from both sides. So I been surveying just vocally with some people as to what is your greatest fear. Multiple fears if people want to comment. What is the greatest fears you have? And it doesn't even matter. These are people that have been, this, and they will say, definitely a big one, fear of dying from the virus, fear of dying. So that was that. And of course, you kind of carry on the conversation and you let them speak and you listen. It's like I would gladly get the 4th one and the next one and any one that was available to me. and that this particular person was such fear that there was probably there was worry about when it took him a while to actually get it, that it wasn't easy to get the booster, that that worried him. And so the other fears are, I'm seeing that there might be a trend, and there also might be certain fears that will come up for others that people will identify with as well when they start to think about them. So what I'm going to do, like I've done with other studies, is I'm going to collect a number of responses, maybe 60, maybe 120, I don't know, depends on how they flow in. And I'm going to number the ones as 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So each one that comes up will have its unique number, and then it will be repeated as per the different responses, so I can just see which fears are greater than others. And what I'm really hoping at that is we have very kind of because it's the people here that are going to make the difference at the end of the day. And in some ways, I can honestly say that there's so much going on behind the scenes, perhaps, that this is, it's an exercise, I guess, of just a pure exercise. Everything's going to be all good and all well in time. But things have to fold out as they need to. If this can be a positive stepping stone for Canadians, or for any people that are joined in a country, can come together to help their country, now that we have in this wonderful world of ours borders of country, because borders are something that was created. So we have that kind of scenario where we have multiple borders, so within, you've got the groups of people within that. And so I wanted to talk about that. I also wanted to talk about, let's see if I have it here, I have a wonderful website here, and really to jump on the other side now, here is, this is CV, this scientific proof harmful, so lethality. And really, this comprehensive website here, it was published January 5th, 2022, and over 1,000 scientific studies prove that this is more harmful. And all those pushing it, the agenda, are committing I'll just say offense, it's not the words they use here, indictable crime of gross misconduct, all these lovely words, in public office. So these are more the pushing. These aren't the people that are saying things, although, bullying and coercing and all of that comes from all levels, family as well, friends. So in here, just over 12 months from deployment of the CV emergency use of these scientific studies in the thousands, and reports of complaints of assault and serious harm, murder from the illegal, unlawful use of these biochemical poisons, made to police forces around the country verify an assault on unsuspected UK population. So obviously language is language, and it can definitely, if anybody were to try to bring peoples together, I'm not saying we can paint it with a beautiful brush, but at the same time, the different things of safe and effective, that they're putting out there, we know that's true, that it's not that way, only because of things, so many things have come down the line. I mean, you really would have to do your research, and people probably do have a fear that they're not safe with their leadership if their mind were to think that there was some harm purposely being done. This is the same with other big situations, like the 9 like almost like calling 911, you know what I mean? That event there. So in here, there are definitely confirmed things with the injection. This is the risk factors. In fact, I'm going to bring up something here. But, you know, some of these risks are, and these are listed as far as it goes: blood clotting, yeah, myocarditis, pericarditis, thrombosis, thrombocytopenia, anaphylaxis. Yeah, anaphylaxis is for a number of things. Bell's palsy, Guillain-Barré syndrome, cancer, and including the effect from some of these things, death, right, etc. So all of these are confirmed. In fact, a number of these are things. They're usually followed by or pre-written before that. Is very rare. But it's one thing when there's an experiment, you really can't say that. It's like the final say on any of that should be kind of at the after it's all said and done. But I know a number of people that have not responded to actually not complaining, but writing in about it, reporting it, because you know they don't see it as a thing to do, and they probably fear people who are against them saying CCC, you know, that kind of thing. So really, sometimes people don't do things, again, once fear. They don't do it for fear. Fear that people won't take them when they believe in them, which is why you all have people saying them, like, even though my, you know, lovely teenage daughter who went through experiment is now damaged for life, please do take them, you know, please do still take them. Things have changed in people's tones sometimes with that, but metal nanoparticulates are known in science to be genotoxic. You know, you can just frame it as this way: if it is toxic for the body in that kind of chemical way, and I have never ever been pro nano. Reason being is because what do they know of things getting into the cell when they're not supposed to? It's kind of like bypassing the natural way of things in the body. If it's not supposed to be in there, then it's not supposed to be in there. To make it small so they can go wherever it wants is not a good thing. And so anything that's toxic is going to be poison to the body and will cause a stress or a change, burn up energy, store in places, cause mutated cell, all of those things. It's just toxicity builds up for some people who don't have elimination in there. So this is a wonderful website, and it, like, again, it has thousands of them of direct links to, like, the Lancet, Science Direct, and the Lancet. I'm not sure to say, maybe these are more UK sites that they're looking at, but a lot in nejm.org, JAMA is another one, network.com, and the journals there, PubMed. So there's a lot of them in here. Again, NCIBI. So a number of published websites that do published work. They're almost all published here. PubMed. These are all journals and such that exist. So myocarditis, systemic hyperinflammation temporarily associated with the BNT162b2 COVID-19 mRNA vaccination in 2 patients. Reoccurrence of acute myocarditis temporarily associated with receipt of coronavirus. So all good ones. I mean, again, just something for you to browse if you want, send to people if they're interested in browsing, a number of people, but some people have already looked up these, and there's a lot. When I say 1,000, if I go right to the bottom, 600, they weren't joking. I'm just doing this because I want to see it with my own 2 eyes. 1,011. 1,011. So, and again, I haven't looked at every one of them, but the dozen that I just looked at, they're all related to published journals, right? So this gets me to something that happened on Friday, which I'm not going to go into too much, but I ended up getting the insert from a drug, okay, a medicine. So I went to read it, and it was a funny thing, even though this is what it is, not the full page, but written in different languages. Sorry for the noise, I'm sure. But the thing is, you know, you can, this is Tradgenta, just so that you kind of know. It's to do with diabetes. So you've got all of this, but again, much of the information is just very simple stuff, and you know, overdosing, side effects, contraindications, but not everything. So the thing about what I wanted to actually bring up with this actually is the idea of the published research on this. So in here they don't go into, but on the web, and I can't remember, it was like drug something or whatever. The thing was, they went through the published research. I'm just going to speak to it because I was up north and on a different machine. Is that in there, the published research as to say how this works, and I can't, and you only can fathom the amount of medicine that's being given to people for the reasons that it is. But this particular one is something that, well, if you can't use metformin for whatever allergies, this is Tradgenta is the one you would use. And sometimes if one doesn't work, maybe the two will work. But back to the published stuff that they had, there was 4 particular studies, and I read them through, and how weak they were. When I say they improved, you know, together with a medicine or on their own or together with like insulin, it was less than 1% improvement compared to the placebo. So we're talking about a medicine with a number of side effects that if taken, these number of side effects you will get, but there's less than 0.5%, less than 1, I'm being generous by saying less than 1%. Effectiveness. 4 studies only. That was listed with small groups, not big groups, small groups. But here is what the side effects, okay? And some serious ones too, although they call them very rare, and then so forth. So breakdown of damaged muscles, so muscle spasm, weakness, red, brown, tea-colored urine. And they say that stop taking the drug immediately. There was a lot about skin reactions, including redness, peeling of skin, blistering of the skin, lips, eyes, or mouth. So you stop to take that immediately. And then pancreatitis, that was another one. Now, understanding that where there are toxins within our medication, that you would actually have effects on the various organs, be it liver, pancreas, and so forth, kidney as well. So the major organs they would have there. But other things that kind of come in here that are side effects and what to do with them, but they just kind of go into blood tests here, like high blood triglyceride, constipation, itching, mouth sores, inflamed, you know, inflammation due to the irritation of the toxins in the medicine. But like I said, this particular drug, Tradgenta, used for diabetics, either alone, in conjunction with metformin, in conjunction with metformin and insulin, in conjunction with insulin. Only in the 4 studies that were listed on the website, it was less than 1% effective, more effective than the placebo, or without. So it's almost like the balancing act and thinking about, you know, and choices and stuff like you have. So one does have to know their body, right? I mean, one has to know their body. The other thing I wanted to talk about today to carry on is a book called The God Delusion. Now, I'm going to skip over and get it because I didn't bring it over here because I thought I would read some more. So let me just go skip over because I actually want to read some things and give you just a little bit of the lowdown from where I am in about 100 pages in the book. So stay there and we will be back. Okay. All right. So, The God Delusion. Okay, if you haven't heard of this book or heard of Richard Dawkins before, probably most of you have. And you know me. If you know me by now, you'll know that I'm going to read this with an open mind, and I'm going to try to simplify the key messages in here. One thing I can share, which I found very interesting in this book so far, and I cannot see why anything would be different, is the proof. People are looking for proof, undeniable proof, before they hand over, their worshiping. But it is clear in here too as well that there have been other gods in our well, in fact, they studied, my daughter grade 11 all through high school, you're studying, in history, gods, Egyptian gods, Roman gods, Greek gods, and there were probably gods and many different other ones too, Viking gods. So God and religion definitely are a little bit, there is a separation, but I found so far that religion was the biggest, I don't want to say threat, but the biggest thing that people have against the following the club called religion, because of its way of, because of the things that it has done in America in particular in here, and there's so much here to read, but what really kind of, it goes through secularism, right? And that's apparently what America was founded on, not God. They wanted to keep politics and religion separate, right? And I do agree with that wholeheartedly. I agree with that, because religion is not necessarily God. God exists whether religion exists or not, if you believe in God. Religion, whether religion of the many types are here or not, it is there. So, and as it says here, the United States was not founded as a Christian nation, was early stated in the terms of the treaty with Tripoli, drafted in 1796 under George Washington and signed by John Adams in 1796. So there is much to, let's just see. So a lot of a lot of abuse has happened through the religions, and not just abuse, murder, just because of the righteousness of it. And in fact, it goes on to say in this book that many people have remained silent, even the people in the Senate who are, to put labels on it, atheist or somewhat atheist or anti-religion in that way, or what it stands for, perhaps. There's nothing wrong with people getting together and coming together and feeling good and joy and at peace and love and all that kind of stuff. There isn't. But sometimes the actions really throw people for a loop. And division, right? Division. And when you force people or think you know what's better for people, that whole, everybody's got to do it. It's the best thing. It's the right thing. For what? Again, where is the proof? So people have a right to have different opinions and different things. But let me see if I can think of it. So fanaticism, right? So that comes in with that. So you can see why it has thrown people for a loop. And there's so much in here, and I've written so many notes. But there's, bullying comes to mind. If I do, if I don't, what if I don't? And, people do. They've been ostracized. They've been kicked out. They wouldn't be voted for. Well, if you don't have then. So politics and people in politics have definitely been put on the hot seat when it comes to choices in the religion. Should it be that way? I don't think any leader, it should matter. I'm a leader of the walk club. Should it matter what my religion, what my preference is? If I do, if I don't, if I somewhat do, or things like that. It shouldn't. It gets into further conversation about the club mentality. And that club mentality gives you what? It gives you access to have support from the people there, the members. So it's almost a bit prejudice if you're not, because then you don't, people don't go to your coffee shop. Who knows what can and what has unfolded over time, known and unknown to unknown to us, right? So, so Jefferson. So there's a lot of remarks. Again, if you've got a stance, you can find the remarks to prove it's right. But the mere fact that some of this stuff has been written, and there's all of the references in the back here. So this is Jefferson. I think if you know anything about history, it's one of the presences. Remarks of Jefferson's, such as Christianity is the most perverted system that ever shone on man. So again, Benjamin Franklin's lighthouses are more useful than churches. So people have been put off. That's what I'm going to say. And it's no different than today in this event. That's kind of why I'm bringing it up. Depending on how we push, whatever it thinks we believe, and we want people to buy into our beliefs, then we have this. It's not a pleasant thing. So in order to unite, we've got to let go the righteousness, or got let go the pushing, needing to convince, and any of that. If we could just listen and listen to people no matter where they are. But I thought this was interesting here. So then when I was mentioning about U.S., the Senate down there, where some of them are atheists, but they would not dare breathe the word. In fact, they would commit perjury before they will say that, because of the connection that people have to something, and it's brought into political. But here's what I thought was very interesting. He's not my favorite person, so I'm going to say that right up front as far as what I understand. So here we go. So whether Jefferson and his colleagues were agnostics, atheists, or theists, or deists, they were also passionate secularists who believed that the religious opinions of a president, or lack of them, were entirely his own business. So all of the founding fathers, whatever their private religious beliefs, would have been aghast to read the journalist Robert Sherman's report of George Bush Sr.'s answer, where Sherman asked him whether he recognized the equal citizenship and patriotism of Americans who were atheists. And he says, "No, I don't know that atheists should be considered as citizens, nor should they be considered patriots. This is one nation under God." Okay, so again, to me, there's religion, and then there's God. The idea that, this, again, is part of the language, but again, that's division, and it's division. And it's been used against people to join in certain clubs, to not be who they are, not to speak whatever they kind of want to say. So it's very interesting. I thought today's reading that I had this morning brings to light very parallel circumstances of today, the divide. And again, everybody they have a right to their opinions. They do. And so we have to be, well, you're going to do what you want to do, of course, but at the end of the day, the idea is that it exists. right? It still exists, for sure. So, it, the different things of certain things here. What was interesting in this book is the different degrees of believing in God. So there's 100% probability that God, in the words of Jung, I do not believe, I know. So everybody takes a stance. And again, there's 7, from a strong atheist, which is there isn't one. They know, like they know there isn't a God in their heart of all hearts and their being of all being, and then the strong. So the opposites of in here, and then everything in between. But it was very interesting that even today we have the similarities between being so strong this way or that way, because you have heard people say, well, I am pro this, but not this one, right? I'm not this one. All the other ones, yep, but not this one. Then you have others that believe none of them are any good. It goes against how our body works naturally. So interesting book if you wish to read it. But I think that people take a stance, and then those beliefs come into actions that they feel they have a right to do. To hurt people, to harm people, to bully people, to name call, as we've seen it, right? As we've seen it. So I'm going to put the link down below for the survey for the fear. What do you fear most, at this time during this event? And I'm going to also bring up, because a couple of other things. One is that I found the website for the Canadian Economic Forum. Somebody sent it to me, actually. It's kind of the Canadian version, but nowhere near the Canadian version of the Global Economic Forum. But the interesting thing was, it's relatively new. It's not very complex, but yet a sophisticated website. I'm just going to let you go through it, and maybe when I get a time to go through it in its entirety, I'll come back and speak about it. But what I found was interesting is there was the social media links on the bottom. So if in fact this was created in 2021, it is not getting a lot of eyeballs because there was only a couple of people actually following the Facebook page for it. So I thought that was very interesting that it's all set up, but people don't really know about it so much. And I did a little bit of research about, let me just see what it is, labor laws. And so there seems to be this, I probably have it on a different page here, but there seems to be this thing about the laws, and that there is something that wants to be put in place federally regarding mandates for certain things, maybe around traveling, taking it away from the provincial, but the labor laws about mandates. So I'll put that up as well. The thing around that, I'm just going to bring it up for a second and see what there's in here. But this is not far from just hearing from the TDSB and now the people that are supposed to be for the parents, those public servants, I'm going to say, voted in for between the parents and the school, where they had said they're putting forth a motion, let's say, if the word's not correct, forgive me, but putting in a motion to make the injection part of the vaccine immunization record, those kind, the usual, not like we don't have enough already over these times. But I'll just read this very quickly. Government of Canada will require employees in all federal regulated workplaces to be vaccinated against COVID-19. This is a news release from December 7th, 2021. This is after my sister was off without pay, right? So everything that kind of went down before then is that. This is new, okay? This is new. So it says in here, The injections is the V, is the best line of defense against COVID-19. It not only protects those who are, but it protects the vulnerable populations like young children, of course, the people that aren't able to get it yet. To finish and again, they use that word fight, these keywords, fear-driven words, in my opinion, against I'll just put that, protect workers and their families, ensure businesses can get back up to speed, and we need to do everything we can to keep public spaces safe, particularly as we continue to face new variants. Now, continue to face new variants, to me that seems definitely in the plan, but again, as we know, and I've explained before, when people are vulnerable, it's almost like the degrees of vibrant health to death. So if you think of vibrantly living to the death card, and you're somewhere in between there, as people work towards, not that they work towards it, but do diet, lifestyle, and just timing, it's the time, they get to a part where the body starts to break down, starts to become more vulnerable. Naturally, it will if you're not taking care of the body. So in some ways, for me, I'm thinking that when we say people are vulnerable, we're not taking personal responsibility for our health. End of story. And so it's easy to say new variants because it's going to happen over and over and over, year after year after year. They got fancy names for it, call it the flu, but they'll have fancy names for the variants when really it's all under the thing that happens to people because they are not healthy. And they have been pushed to believe that this kind of stuff, and many of them, like I have said before, I've had one client that was on 19 meds, 19, a whole list. And I said, do you know what this is all for? No, I trust my doctor. Are you okay to be on? Yeah, So, at the end of the day. So today the Minister of Labour, Seamus O'Regan Jr., announced that the Government of Canada will propose regulations under Part 2 of the Canada Labour Code to make vaccination mandatory in federal regulated workplaces. These regulations would complement existing occupational health and safety measures, such as masking, hand washing, and physical distancing, and provide further protection against the risk of CV cold transmission in the workplace. You can't get away from that, people. The only way we're going to get rid of cold, so this all kind of leads to that, is if people are eliminating properly. So detoxifying, cleansing, and normal, natural elimination on an ongoing basis. That's the only time it's going to happen. So here you go. There's a quote here: Canada has led the world on rates thanks to Canadians, their belief in science. No, there's a lot of coercion that's happened here, and their willingness to roll. No, they were not that willing. And the majority, good majority of the people did it because they wanted to see family, they were taking care of their loved ones in homes, and they wanted to travel. A lot of that, and they didn't want to lose their job. So making this mandatory across all federal regulated workplaces will protect workers. Does it really? You're still going to get it. Their families and their communities, and will help us finish the fight against CV and help us sustain a strong and stable economic recovery. So again, people, you've got to know more about stuff, as you read these things to discern. And again, that's one of the things that, it's this language here that people are going to read. Yes, the fear of dying, the fear of being safe or not safe, all of these things, losing loved ones, all these fears are what would drive people. But these hypnotic, strong words, like here's the Minister of Health, Jean-Yves Duclos, vaccinations are one of the strongest tools we have in the fight against COVID-19 and helping Canadians safe and healthy, keeping Canadians health safe. Through these requirements, we help add an extra layer of protection in federal regulated workplaces. I encourage Canadians who have not yet received them, book their bang, today. So, again, it goes, it goes on further to describe some quick facts here, the facts they want you to believe, the facts that they feel is right, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not quite sure. I really feel like sending an email to this person here, and who's part of this whole thing, Employment and Social Development Canada, Gatineau, Quebec. But at the end of the day, if you didn't know, this was already in the position, but if we stand back far enough and we really want to believe that there's a lot of stuff coming down over this next month, time will tell. Focus on that, because that sure sounds like a lot more excitement than reading all this kind of stuff that tends to put people in fear who don't want to get it or want to go back to work after their 6 months is up. So I've been hearing about this, and I've been seeing that reading that they want to push certain things out within early in 2022, which would mean early, it has to be within the next couple of months. Anyway, so was there anything else I wanted to bring up today? I'm not sure if there's any comments. Oh, hi, Angel. And so is there anything else other than just reminding people, again, balance? I'm hearing more and more. I mean, I do it. I take only a certain amount of time to kind of go through things, and sometimes just browse. Don't want to watch the same things on certain things again and again and again, because there are definitely a number of beautiful, wonderful, independent reporting out there, and so rightly so. Can you follow all of them all the time? It'd be a lot. And then think about us own people that do our lives, right? I'm not even putting myself in the independent journalist thing, but you think of all the people that are maybe similar to myself in a sense, and maybe much more sophisticated, maybe less. But anyway, there's all these, various live shots that people can, because they have the cell phone, and they do these kind of videos to bring people update. They have a certain number of people. Balance, that's what I'm going to say. And people more and more are noticing that they can't be on the computer, they can't be on their cell phone, watching the stuff all over and over. And again, some of the stuff may be acting, maybe theater, we don't know. So take it in the dose that you can, just to be kind of aware. But when you're not there, you can't see it for yourself. In fact, you could be still, in places, and something happened way down on the other end. And when you are not there, you are not there. You're there, but you didn't see it with your own two eyes, right? And that's important. That is important to keep us sane and grounded, is the fact that a number of things could be an act, could be theater, could be wanting to put more people into fear so they don't participate in certain things, more division for sure. When you hear things, oh, they deserved it, all those things come to mind when you're reading certain things, watching certain videos. So balance more and more. Do the things that bring you happiness and peace and joy. Is it a knitting project? Is it walking in nature? That would be my preference, getting out, walking. So you got walking, movement, fresh air, clearing the head, mind, looking at nature, being in awe of nature, and all those kind of things is wonderful. It's lovely. It's beautiful. Nature is our best teacher. It's our best teacher. So let's just do some jokes. I'll get the lovely joke book here and open it up, and I'll put those. I'll put the links down below as well. So let's see what we have here as far as, I don't know, just open up a page here. All in the Family. Okay, haven't read it. I usually like to read it because sometimes I'm a little slow on this 50-year-old jokes here. But Okay, let's see here. I try to mark off the ones I've read so I don't read them again. But I should really mark the ones that are great and repeat those ones. Okay, so some jokes, puns, and riddles. Jokes, puns, and riddles books. Mother, stop asking so many questions. Don't you know that curiosity killed the cat? Sally, really? And what did the cat want to know? Brilliant! Brilliant, I say. Be curious, be curious. Ask all the questions you want. I just think that the adults don't have the answers. And the children are brilliant. Next one, Little Larry. Ma, may I have a nickel for the old lady who is outside crying? Mother, yes, dear, but what is the old lady crying about? Larry, she's crying salty peanuts, 5 cents a bag. Johnny rushed out of the bathroom. Oh, Mother, he shouted, I saw something running across the floor with no legs. Nonsense, said his mother. What are you talking about? Water, was the reply. Okay, son, Dad, what is a weapon? Father, why, son, that's something you fight with. Son, is Mother your weapon? Okay, one more. What are 5 peaches plus 3 peaches? Pop. Add 5 peaches to 3 peaches. Don't you know the answer? Haven't you ever done a problem like this before? Pat. No, in school we added apples. Okay. Anyway, one more. Linda, Mother, is it correct to say that you water your horse? Mother, yes, dear. Linda, then I'm going out to milk my cat. Well, some are silly, some are sillier, some are funny, and some are funnier. Anyway, I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful week, a wonderful rest of the evening. And, yeah, stay calm, stay strong. I think I will say that on March the 5th, there is a call to action, I will call it. A very wonderful, fun call to action where it's a human train of protesters linking hand to hand and right across this nation. Now, I don't know any much more than that. I got to still look it up if anybody knows anything more about than the poster picture that's been going around. What a fabulous idea. Well, there's a little bit of time to do it, but that would mean, I think it's all along the Trans-Canada, the #1 highway. And probably it wouldn't surprise me that people are going to do that in their various towns and cities and areas, just to do the same thing because they can and because they're so far away from the Trans-Canada #1 highway. But I can just imagine people are going to travel a distance to be part of that that train. So obviously there's going to be timing where everybody can do it, probably some sort of a timing, and I'm not sure if it even matters that it's all linked up perfectly, if it is or if it isn't, but just the idea, the excitement that brings to people, that's the kind of thing that becomes part of Bounce more and more. Like, what does, what excites you, and do that. And do that, focus on that. So, thanks for joining live at 5 with moi, Cheryl Millett. And once I get other places sorted out with live, it seems like Gab, you've got to pay for it. Rumble, you've got to pay for it as a monthly thing. Not saying I don't want to, but it's very interesting to kind of see what is out there to do. So take care, everyone. All the best. Hugs, hugs, hugs. And we will see you again live at 5 another time next week, Mondays. If anything maybe sooner if need be, but otherwise, stay healthy, eat well, sleep well, move well, think well, be well. And there you go. So take care, everyone. Bye for now.